they kind of connect over books and everything. And this series is Love It or Lose It. Hello. So I realized that I never actually filmed an intro for this video. So this is our first episode for Love It or Lose It. This is a series where I go and read a bunch of books that I've kind of had for quite some time and just never got the chance to go and read, but I've kind of had the desire to potentially unhaul these books, but at the same time, I have the feeling that I'd really like to read them. So basically the goal of this video is to do a little bit of a reading vlog where I go and read books off of my Love It or Lose It pile. And if I love the book, heck yeah, gonna keep it. I'm not gonna unhaul it. But if I don't vibe with the book, if it's not one that I enjoyed reading, I will ultimately go and unhaul it, and I'll either bring it to a used bookstore such as Second & Charles or a little free library, one of the two. But that is the goal of this video. I have one book that I have already unhauled, but I had footage for, so you will go and see that in this video and hear some of my thoughts on it, which are kind of interesting because I felt like the book itself was one that so many people loved, but I didn't see too many people having the same feelings as I did over the book. And then you're going to see a few others. So I hope that you enjoy this series. It might be one that's a little bit slower to come out on my channel because I do struggle with vlogs. But either way, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll talk to you later. So I have been reading this book for a little bit, but I completely forgot to film an intro. So this will be our little intro for Love It or Lose It, which basically the series is going to be my way of reading through books that I have planned on unhauling, but because of my indecisiveness, I have the strong desire to read them first to fully make the decision that I want to unhaul them. So the first one we're doing in this series, or at least for this episode, is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This one was one of the picks from my Defend the TBR, so I'm trying to read it. It's currently April 28th, so I think I have like 2 more days before the end of this month, so I need to finish this so that I don't lose any points for our TBR game. So with this one, it kind of seems like it's second chance, childhood sweethearts, friends to lovers type of situation for this book, and I know it's definitely a book that a lot of people love so much, and I hear a lot of really raving reviews over it, so I'm hopeful that I will like it. But with this one, we are basically experiencing the story in 2 different timelines. One is from the childhood and then up into the future. And so for most of the book so far, because I've been obviously reading it, we're getting the female main character's point of view, Mace, and kind of seeing her experience as she's dealing with her new normal with just her dad after her mom passed away. And so they're kind of following this little bucket list that the mom left for her and her dad to follow. And they ended up going and getting like a little vacation home, which happens to be right next to our male main character, the story, Elliot. And these two kind of strike up this little friendship where they kind of connect over books and everything. And it seems like some sort of event happened which led them to not talking again for like 15 years, and then suddenly they run into each other. And so far I'm only experiencing the story from Mace's point of view, but Mace, when she sees Elliot again in the future, she's currently in a job that she does really love, although she has to work really hard and has an insane work schedule, but she's also engaged to this guy that she's only been with a couple of months who has a younger daughter. And so there's a lot of questions there, like what happened with her and Elliot? Why is she deciding out of nowhere that she's going to marry this guy that she hasn't known for long? yeah, there's definitely a lot of questions there. I do really like Macy. However, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Elliot. I know that, like, you know, when you're a kid, sometimes you don't really have a filter and you'll sometimes go and ask these inappropriate questions or not really think certain questions through, like if they're appropriate or not. And I kind of feel that way with Elliot, and just some of the things that he says rub me wrong. So right now I'm not really a fan of him. I don't really like Elliot. So we'll see how that goes. But you're also going to see a little clip of when I was reading this book, because I fully had the impression that a book isn't really enjoyable until you get past the 100-page mark. And before I realized that I didn't have my mic plugged in, I was on page 64. And then I read a couple of pages and my jaw dropped. So now we're on page 69. And now it seems like it is back in the past. So definitely curious to see how things go. Who knows, maybe I will like this book. I know that would probably make a lot of people happy because it is a really well-loved book, but I can be picky on my romance books, so we shall see. What? What? Like, I think I might have read like 3 or 4 pages and just like this bombshell completely happened. Okay, I take my previous statement back. Maybe the book will actually be better before 100 pages. We shall see. So I just finished reading Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Today is the last day of April, so I made it in time for this book to still be included in my Defend the TBR game, so I won't lose points for that. I'm still going back and forth on this. I feel like part of me is still feeling a little bit funky because I listened to an audiobook for a different book and it was so frustrating for me, and literally is the first book that I've ever rated 1 star. I believe I put it as 1 star, not as 1.5 stars. Either way, it's the first book that I've rated under 2 stars. So obviously I was in a bit of a funk. So reading this book, I'm sure like if my emotions were not frustrated because of the other one, I probably would have felt more emotional with this book. I definitely feel like I would have cried and let out a lot more tears versus just getting a little bit misty-eyed during one of the parts. And I don't want to go into details because I don't want to obviously spoil anything, but I feel like this book won't be higher than 4 stars for me. Elliot, when he was younger, just kind of frustrated me with his bluntness and just some of his questions and mannerisms. It felt a little bit too unrealistic for me. And then with Macy, getting to the end of the book, I now understand a lot of reasonings for why she acted and did certain things the way she did. Obviously, during the beginning part of the book, we understand she's going through so much grief because she lost her mother, and so her dad and her are just trying to fill in the pieces. They're trying to find a new normal without having that person in their lives anymore. So I understand why she's acting the way that she does. But just like the miscommunication and how I just constantly feel like shaking her because I want her to say things and she's just not, and it's a roundabout way, and then suddenly you're getting blast to the past in the next chapter, or you're getting back to the future of where the present time is happening. And it's just like, oh my gosh, we have to wait another like 15 pages to find out what Macy's gonna go and do, or what she's thinking, what exactly is going on. So I feel like if I would have read this a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, I would like it, but reading it now at this point in my life, it's just a little bit too frustrating with some of the communication. And like, I don't know, I'm devastated because I really thought I would like this book, especially knowing that so many people enjoyed this book so much, but it just wasn't a love for me. So I'm kind of going back and forth on this. Like, it's a cute story, but it's still not a love. And this series is love it or lose it, and I don't love this book. So I think I might have to lose it. I think this is going to have to go in the unhaul pile. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at currently. Like, the cover's really cute, and I don't know. I don't think I want to keep this book. So that might be what has to be done. I'm so sorry, everyone that loves this book. Maybe it's because I, was in a bit of a reading funk because of that other book I was telling y'all about, but it didn't hit for me. So, on to the next book. Okay, it's me back again. So, I'm coming back because right away, usually after I read a book, especially if I have certain emotions or kind of feel more certain about where I'm gonna rate a book, I like going to Goodreads and also kind of getting validation in a way and looking at other people's reviews. And some people's reviews that align more with where I'm feeling definitely spoke on a lot of points that really bothered me. So I'm gonna put up an icon here because we're gonna go into spoiler territory and some problematic things that really bothered me. So obviously, of course, if you haven't read the book, you want to read the book, please go and skip this. I will keep an icon up for the duration of how long I'm talking about this. So between timeline stuff as well as the icon, that will go and help indicate you when I'm done talking about spoiler territory. So basically, we learn like the last, I don't know, 50-ish pages of the book, 70-ish pages, that the reason why Macy lost touch with Elliot is because of something Elliot did. Now, this took place New Year's Eve, and Elliot and Macy had a not so great conversation, and she feels horrid about it and basically begs her dad to let her go and drive all the way down to see Elliot because she just cannot bear with how things happened. She doesn't feel comfortable with it. She wants to resolve it as soon as possible. So her dad lets her go and drive down there, saying like, hey, once you get down there, just please give me a call. Let me know that you got there safely. Now, when she gets down there, she goes and tries to call Elliot's phone, going and learning that he's still at his friend's friend Christian's house party. And Christian is obviously very high. I think he even mentions that he's high. And Macy's just like, look, give me your address. I'll go and get Elliot. I'll bring him home. And so she heads down there, and his friends aren't great. His friends are not great people. So Elliot's friend Christian is like, oh yeah, there's this going on. And he's kind of like acting all like just really shitty friend. I know I try not to go and curse on this channel, and I try to keep it more PG, but sometimes we gotta use language. This friend is really crappy. Elliot's other friend is like, look, just let Elliot go and rest. Let him go and sleep things off. We'll go and bring him home. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Because obviously Brandon's like, something really bad happened. You shouldn't see this. This is not good for you to go and see. But Macy's like, I have this gut feeling something is not okay. I'm gonna go and check it out. She goes upstairs and finds Elliot basically with his pants on the ground. He is drunk, passed out, but he also has the body of a naked woman draped across him. Now, these are all kiddos. They're all underage drinking. I believe they're 18 at the time. And it is obvious that Elliot has been and Macy is just kind of stunned by what's going on. She knows that Elliot and this girl that is naked over Elliot have had some history in the past. But at this time, Elliot and Macy are in a relationship. They're dating. So she's trying to wrap her head around what is in front of her, wondering, did Elliot cheat on me? What the heck happened? And the friends aren't being very helpful. Christian is just like, oh yeah, they kind of fool around every now and then. Like, it's just a thing, it happens. And it's not a good look for Elliot. Whereas Brandon's just like, kind of stunned in a silence, but neither of these two people are concerned about what has happened to Elliot, because it is obvious that he has been taken advantage of by Emma. And we learn later that Elliot literally had no recollection of what had happened. He had no idea that this girl, I believe her name was Emma, was even there. In his mind, he is thinking that all the things that he was doing were with Macy. Because when he woke up with his pants on the ground, Emma was not there, and no one was telling him what had happened. And obviously, because of what had happened, Macy isn't talking to him. But also there's this event where her dad ends up going and driving down to where she's at, because she didn't go and give her dad a call. She basically went to go and find Elliot, found out what happened, came back to the cabin, and just kind of fell asleep there because she was just numb and in shock. So her dad goes driving down there to basically go and make sure she's okay and everything's fine. Macy kind of gives him a brief, and I mean very, 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 very brief explanation of what had happened. And her dad's like, all right, let's go home. So he's taking her back home to their house, and while they're driving, her dad is so worried about her. He keeps going and checking in on her. And then they get into an awful accident, and unfortunately her dad passes away. So Macy is dealing with the fact that she believes her boyfriend cheated on her, and then her dad passes away in this horrific accident. And she just, depressive episode. She just kind of blocks out everything completely and shuts down, which obviously makes sense. She has had a wild less than 24 hours. Elliot, on the other hand, does not know what has happened. He's been constantly trying to contact Macy, but she basically disappears, and he doesn't understand why he never sees her or her dad again. And he just assumes that they both hate him. And it turns out it is years before Elliot is able to have a romantic relationship with someone. And when he does, he breaks down into tears. Huge, like, red flag, huge moment there, because, like I said, Elliot was obviously, he was taken advantage of. And just basically this whole revelation of these two events, Macy's dad passing away in a car accident and believing that her boyfriend Elliot cheated on her when actually he was. It just happens in the last 70 pages of the book, and it really bothers me how it's just kind of blown over. It's not taken as a serious topic, because it definitely is. Men can be taken advantage of as well, and yeah, I'm deeply disappointed. So I think that, as well as some of the other things I listed, of course, like my frustration with Macy and having to wait like 15 more pages to figure out, okay, what she's gonna do, because she's asking for more time. She's asking for more time here, or she doesn't know. Just all these things. It was a lot of frustrations for me personally, and just with the lack of, I guess, attention given into a really important topic. It's just very disappointing for me. So I think in actuality, I'm probably going to rate this lower, probably 3.5 stars on my end. And I don't know when this book was written. I believe I picked it up probably over 8 years ago. So it's been out for some time, and it's disappointing that, given the heaviness of a topic that was included for part of the reason why we're going through over 300 pages in this book to find out what split these two apart, is a very sensitive and difficult moment that should have been addressed more properly and more seriously. So that's the end of my rant. I think I have been ranting about this for over 10 minutes now, so I might have to chop this down. But yeah, this book just was not it for me, and certain topics like that are things that I'm very passionate about, and so when they're poorly done, it just doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. So yeah, on to the next book. Hey everyone, so I realized I haven't really been doing check-ins or anything like that. So currently the book that I'm reading is A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapina. This was one that I had picked out for my Defend the TBR when it comes to my Love It or Lose It pile. So I am currently this far of the way in the book. I'm on page 156. And it's okay. I have mentioned in the past that Shari Lapina is just one of those authors that really isn't memorable for me. I will read their books and, you know, they might be interesting and capture my attention for a little bit, but then after I finish the book, I can't recall anything that happens with it. And I'm kind of already feeling that way with this one as well. So with the beginning of the story, we basically follow the wife. She is scared of her out of her mind and driving her car pretty recklessly. And then she ends up going and winding up in the hospital. But we're brought over to the husband's point of view. He gets home after work and he can't find his wife. He notices that some of her things are left behind in the house. The door is unlocked. Just a lot of really weird behavior. And he goes and calls and contacts anyone that he knows to see if maybe they know what happened to his wife. Well, then suddenly a police officer shows up outside his house and he's like, oh no, this has got to be really bad news. Well, the cop is saying that your wife is in the hospital or there's a person in the hospital that might be your wife, but they have amnesia. Or they can't remember what exactly happened. Something along those lines. So throughout a lot of the chapters in the book, we're kind of going back and forth. We're getting the husband's point of view, the wife's point of view, the police officer's point of view, because no one really knows what happens. The wife doesn't remember anything that happened that night, and there's just a lot of different mysteries that are kind of involved. But the wife is also really terrified of certain pieces, and she's getting little snippets back as she's trying to reflect on some pieces. And now suddenly the husband isn't trusting the wife isn't trusting the husband, yada yada yada. I also noticed that basically with every other paragraph, we're getting a different POV by a different character. So a lot of the time in books, you'll usually switch POVs between each chapter. That's not the case with this book. You might get 4 different POVs in one chapter. And it's a lot. It's not something I'm really wild about because I have to go and reread certain parts just to realize, like, all right, who are we again? What is this person's involvement in the story? I don't know. I'm obviously going to finish this book because I need to finish this one and We Were Liars so that I can get the points for my Defend the TBR episode. Plus, I also have had these books on my Love It or Lose It pile for quite some time, so I would like to finish these to know if I can go and unhaul them. Which, speaking of, Charles and I had a little date over the weekend. Basically, last week had a lot of bummer moments, and if you've been paying attention to my posts on YouTube, you will have a little bit of an idea of what has happened. I had some recordings here and there that I was talking about those things, but honestly, last week was just such a rough week, and for my own mental health, especially because I'd have to re-watch those and listen to everything while editing, I was like, you know what, we're just gonna toss those videos and not include them. So yeah, during the weekend, Charles and I, we had our little date day. I had a bunch of coupons saved up for Second and Charles, so we ended up going there and buying a handful of books. Charles got his own pile as well. And I have posted a video already going and showing the haul there, and also talking about how much we saved. But the really cool thing is that, so Charles is a teacher. He's technically a school counselor, but he gets teacher discounts at the few places that offer it. And one of the things we've noticed and we've been learning is a lot of the time bookstores will usually have a teacher discount. And Second and Charles has a 20% discount for teachers, which was just so wild, so cool. So I had my coupons and I also had his discount to go and use when we went there. So I saved quite a bit, which was pretty nice because I was really bummed out from the week, and I had a list of books that I've been wanting to go and get, and I was like, you know what, this is the perfect time to go and get them. I need a little splurge, a little special treat for myself, just to kind of perk myself back up after just the really bummer moments that happened. And then after that, we went over to Hot Pot, and oh, it was so good. Charles and I, our second date, I believe, we went to Hot Pot together, and then every month or so we'd go back. Well, the reason why we didn't go too often was because that Hot Pot place was a little bit on the pricier side, but we loved it there. We loved the service. Well, earlier this year, they changed it to an all-you-can-eat menu. So it's way more affordable, plus you can eat even more without like not ordering enough food and still being hungry. So that was really cool, and then we came back home. And then Sunday we had games with friends. And yeah, that leads us up to today. So I I feel like I'm just trying to play catch up with a lot of things. There's certain videos and stuff like that that has been so easy for me to do, but then other stuff like reading vlogs or doing my Love It or Lose It series, those have not been easy. And so I'm trying to get a little bit better at that. But yeah, that's the check-in for this book. We'll see how things go, but I'm honestly feeling like probably it's going to be a 3-star and probably going to be a book I unhaul, but you will probably find out before I do. So I'll talk to you later. Alright, so I have finished reading A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapena, and as you would have guessed it, as I've mentioned earlier, Shari Lapena is just one of those authors that I just am very meh on. So I did finish this book, and I believe... oh, Nugget lost her toy. So I did finish this book, and I think I'm kind of at 2.5 or 3 stars for what I want to rate this book. It was good, but at the same time, very meh.
Can you get it? Oh, Mom will help. Mom will help.
Here you go, babies.
Ah.
Okay. Here you go. There's all of your toys. So with Shari Lapena's books, I feel like there always is a huge mystery and something that just grabs you in to make it really difficult to step away from the book. But also at the same time, there is always some sort of twist at the end. So even when you feel like things are resolved, things are playing out perfectly, you at the same time still have to stay on your feet because there is also going to be another twist that you didn't see coming at the end. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because I do really love unexpected twists. I do love the fact that, you know, nothing's ever completely resolved until the very last page because you don't know what's going to happen next. But I don't know what it is. It's just these books are never really memorable for me, and just kind of feel very meh. And I'm the type of reader that really loves getting completely absorbed by a book and having a fun time. I tend to rate my books off of the emotions that it gives me instead of the writing style. I'm not really one of those people that really nitpicks writing styles because I'm not a writer. So I feel like if I were to write a book, it really wouldn't be good. So that's one of the things that is kind of lower on the scale when it comes to book ratings for myself. But yeah, I just felt very lackluster by this book. It might have also had to do with the fact that we get a different character's perspective in each paragraph. There's kind of different points of view that you're constantly getting, and it could range from 2 to maybe like 5 or 6. And when it comes to character POVs, I usually like maybe 2 or 3. 2 would probably be the max. Yeah, I usually kind of go between 2 and 3. That is kind of the sweet spot for how many POVs I usually enjoy. But yeah, there just was a lot of different things that I was just kind of like, okay, let's get this book done so we can move on to our next read. So I think you can guess it because the title of this video is Love It or Lose It. I'm gonna lose it. I'm going to choose to unhaul this book, and I know there's a lot of people that really love this author, so I'm going to put this in my lose it pile and someone else can go and pick up this book. I think I still will probably read Shari Lapena's books, but I think I'm going to choose to go the route of going and getting them via the library, so using the Libby app and maybe listening to it as an audiobook, because I am still really curious on the different books that this author writes, but I don't think this author is going to be one that I'm personally going to put my own money into and purchase any of their books. So yeah, we just got another book for the lose it pile. And the next one will be We Were Liars. I think that was another one of the picks from Defend the TBR. So I'm excited to see how that one goes, as well as watch either the TV show or the movie. I can't quite remember, but I'm excited to check that one out as well. And I'll probably leave my thoughts here on this video as well. Hi, so checking in here basically to go and wrap up our first episode of Love It or Lose It. If you can't tell, some of these clips are from months ago with our first book, Love in Other Words, whereas with this book, you would have seen it in our most recent Defend the TBR episode. I read this book more recently. So there are a couple of books that were in this episode. I was really hoping to get at least 3 total, but that's fine. This is our very first episode, so I think I'm gonna end it there just so it's easier for me to go and edit these videos. They've been kind of holding space on my capture card, so I would like to go and remove them so they're not holding up space anymore. I like keeping duplicates of videos just in case if anything's corrupted or anything gets lost, but that's just a problem for anyone that goes and takes pictures or records their footage. Hi, Nugs. Hi. Go over there. Go over there. Go over there. So that's just kind of a problem that I feel like a lot of creators kind of face with going and losing data or not wanting stuff to be corrupted, anything like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here. We have finished 2 books for our Love It or Lose It first episode, and I am personally going to be unhauling both of those books. Love in Other Words, I've already unhauled, but I still have A Stranger in the House. This one will also be getting unhauled as well. And then in the future episode, you will see me read We Were Liars, which was another book on the Defend the TBR episode, but I just don't have time to go and read it and put it in this video, so that is why it's not going to be included here. But I hope you liked this little video of Love It or Lose It. I'm still figuring out a lot of the pieces, and I think I'm going to extend it to all the books on my shelves versus just the books in my specific Love It or Lose It pile, because otherwise I'll never get these videos out because I'm a bit more of a mood reader when it comes to that specific unhaul shelf. And if I have things specifically the way I had planned, I won't ever get to them, and this series might never see the light of day. So those will be some changes moving forward. I hope you're excited for this new series on the channel, and I'm gonna try to keep it kind of vlog-ish, so there of course will be reading because that is the main point of this series, but I think I do want to throw in little life events here and there and see how we like it. But yeah, that is going to be the end of this, and so far for the first episode, not too successful with finding any books that I did want to hang on to, but that was kind of the concept with pulling out of that specific unhaul pile. And hopefully you'll see another one of these episodes soon. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up here and say always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.